Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for July 12th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and today I am here on my own. Puya, unfortunately, not feeling well today, so here by myself to update you on what's been happening on the Big Brother 21 live feeds. Yesterday, we had a bit of a crazy night. It's no wonder it put Puya into a tizzy. That's the right word, right? Yeah. So it was day 23 in the Big Brother 21 house, and we did have an eviction. We did. We lost Kemi. It was not good. Don't like it. I'm wearing a black. I'm in mourning for Kemi. It's just gonna be sad for Kemi. Sad about what happened. There's a lot of fallout. From the Kemi call out that obviously we saw on the eviction. That Kemi was like, "Hey, Bella, Nick, you guys suck. You're playing both sides of the house. Get out of here." And Nick and Bella were not fond of that. So when the feeds came back after, obviously, we saw Nick win HOH, we had a fight. First big fight of the season. It was between Kemi and Bella. They got pretty heated. I can't say that there was anything particularly, like, I don't know. There wasn't like a whole lot that was said. It was more of a physical fight, really, honestly. It was a lot of like, "I was your friend. No, you weren't. You say things. No, I don't say things. I only say other things. No." And then Kemi ends up sort of walking up very close to Bella. As you do, I guess. I've never really been in a yelling fight with somebody, so I don't really know how the meta works, where you're like, I guess you're supposed to just stand really close to them. I watched Pauly do it a few times on the challenge recently, and he loves to tap foreheads. So I don't know. It's weird. People are weird. But they get real close to each other, and then Bella says, "Hey, get away from me." And she tries to push Kemi away. And Kemi grabs Bella's arm when she grabs her to push her and says, "Don't touch me." And then it's like, "Uh-oh, we got to break this up. So that's got a little physical there. We had some touching, some contact on the fields, and we had to get some diary room sessions going on, and people needed to be talked to. So that's that one on there. I think there was a part 2 to this fight that we did not see on the feeds, just from what we heard. But there you go. It's we had some stuff going on there. We had a fight. I'm sure we're gonna see it on the show, so don't worry about it. So Bella is really going to be like very concerned about this all night. Like, she is immediately like, "Oh." She does that thing where you're like super embarrassed. It's like when you fall embarrassingly and then get up and like act like you tried to do that on purpose, where she's like, "Oh, I'm just happy I was in the first fight of the season." I mean, yeah, I totally wanted to get into that fight. I mean, what is she? I mean, that wasn't even my fault or anything. I mean, I'm definitely in the right here about things and all the stuff. And she's just gonna be talking about Kemi for the rest of the night. Unfortunately, the Kemi call out, I do think, had a little bit, it backfired a little bit. because we'd see Nick win HOH, and unfortunately, Nick is going to be dealing with Bella being so caught up with the Kemi fight that they don't have as much time to sort of be thinking about other things, like perhaps turning on a big alliance that wants to turn on you. But we'll talk about it. So that's happening there. We got fights. We're also getting, again, more romances. Jackson and Holly are going to get caught by the cameras. They're making out. They're kissing. It's happening. Jackson has moved on. He's with Holly, and now they're starting to get we have more physicality going on. More contact on the field. Different kind of contact, but it's happening. Just got to watch out for that contact. Oh man, Jackson. So Jackson and Holly, they're kissing. Jackson is later going to talk to Nick, and he's gonna say, "Hey, just wanted to see if I could. Just want to make sure. Can I use your shower this week?" And Nick is like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "Cause me and Holly." Oh yeah, don't worry. Yeah, for sure, dude. Okay, that's what we're doing. Thanks for that. Why does this always happen when I'm doing an update alone? He also lets Holly know that he was the rogue vote. That he was the person that voted to evict Jessica. He's hoping that he would pin it on somebody else. So we then had Jack and Sis talking about these showmances. They got into a little bit of a showmance, argument going on. Rob Island said, "Love Island." Did I say Rob? Rob says in the chat, "Love Island would be so lucky to have this cast," and I agree. I watched like 2 episodes of Love Island, or maybe like 1.5, because I turned the CBS on and it's there. So I watched the end of the episode, and they're still so boring there on Love Island. They're nowhere near the level of showmance that Big Brother's at here. I think Rob is completely right. I think that I don't know what's going on, but they need these people at Love Island. They've already. I mean, without prompting, there have been. Jackson has been with Kat. Now he's with Holly. Kat was with Jackson and now flirting with David, which we'll talk about. Jack was in love with Christy, but now he's with Sis, but still kind of loves Christy. Nick is with Bella, but he kind of mostly had a thing for Sis, but he's mostly with Bella. It's a mess. All right. So Jack and Sis, they're going to have a little bit of a showmance tiff going on. I think she's kind of concerned that she's going to be targeted because Nick is the HOH, but she's also concerned about the whole Christy situation. It's not particularly relevant. So Cliff and Nicole are going to have a conversation, and they work through that. They work through this whole situation of, okay, it has to be Jack, Sis, Jackson, Holly, Nick, and Bella. They're in an alliance. How have we not seen this? That they're the 3 couples in the house. Then they have Christy and Tommy, sort of on the outside of that. Then they have Sam outside of that. And then the next level is Cliff and Nicole, and then Jess and Kat. And they're close. They're close there. Unfortunately, there's been a little bit of shifting in between those lowest levels, and they do not see that Christy and Tommy are actually in the center of it all. But they're close. They're close here. Kemi's going to talk to Nicole as well, and Nicole tells her the theory about the couples alliances and all of that stuff. She thinks that she's in some danger here, and that she is hoping that Kemi can blow some more things up and really get things going. You know, pin the Nick and Bella side against the other couples. You know, expose them for more things. That's her game plan for now. Is she wants more blow-ups, more attacks on Nick and Bella. That will hopefully solve the problem. Again, I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it. Kemi being like a sort of an outside force attacking Nick and Bella, I think will only make them retreat even further into Grateful. But luckily, Nicole has some other plans that I think are going to be a little bit more effective. Nicole is also finally going to learn from Kemi. Kemi's finally going to tell Nicole, hey, they overheard Cliff. He talks to the cameras. They found out, and they listened in, and they heard him say that he's in an alliance called Zing with you and Ovi. And Nicole's like, oh, that's why people have been acting so weird. Oh, it makes sense. And I'm like, thank you. Now you can tell Cliff. She doesn't tell Cliff. Cliff, I think, is still talking to the cameras right as we speak. So same volume, same place. He still doesn't know. Hopefully he'll find out soon, right? I mean, you should hope, because Nicole really needs to tell him, because he's gonna screw up Nicole's entire plan if she doesn't tell him soon. All right. I did get a question here. Who's more likely to betray Jackson's hinky vote, Jack or Holly? I don't think anybody needs to betray it, because most people know by now. We'll get to that. So Nicole is then going to talk to the cameras, and this is fantastic. That you should go back and watch Nicole talking to the cameras. It's a great moment. It's a perfect representation of just how people get lost in the game. She's just like, oh my God, I'm an effing idiot. Oh, it's so obvious. How did I watched this show? How did I not see this? I got so caught up in my own relationships and hang-ups and, like transition and like trying to make sure I'm being true to myself and like who I am. And I just didn't step back and look at the big picture. They're obviously all working together. Ah, I'm such an idiot. Oh man. Oh. All right. I just got so caught up in that. Okay. I think I'm in some trouble. I need to survive this week. I'm worried because there's all this tension between Nick and Holly, and if I go to Holly and I tell her about what Nick says, then I'm lying to Nick, and if I go to Nick and I keep his confidence, then I'm lying to Holly, and I'm in this catch-22 situation, especially if they're both working together. I don't know which one to go to. I don't know who to put my trust in. I don't know where to go from here. All I know is that I need to survive this week so that I can start making some moves. Start getting behind people so I can stab them. Yes. That is what she needs to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing her try. Tommy is going to talk with Sis and Jack in the boat room. They talk about the Vogue route. The Vogue. I was up late watching these feeds. They talk about the rogue vote. The rogue vote. Tommy, I think, immediately has clocked that it's Jackson. Not only one of the group, but that it's Jackson in particular. But he's going to say to Jack and Sis that he thinks it's one of the group. He thinks that somebody in their alliance is the one that voted that way, and that they wanted to pin it on Nicole or something along those lines. And exactly what I said yesterday morning. Tommy doesn't care about the truth. He knows the truth. He does not care. He says, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if it was one of our group. We'll just let it be pinned on somebody. If it gets pinned on somebody, that's fine. Really, really just don't care. Whatever. Jack part of what makes me think that Tommy knows it's Jackson is that Jack then makes a comment like, only a genius would think of such a move. And like kind of implying that he was behind it. And Tommy's like, did you plant the seed to make it happen? Like it really felt like Tommy was like, oh, was Jack the one that told Jackson to do this? Oh, maybe not. I'm not sure. So it's, I think he knows. I think he knows. He'll definitely know later on. They also talk about what to do with the new whackmatizing competition, that it's going to be Nick, it's Nick, Christy, Sis, and Jess that are going to do that, to compete in the competition. And what Tommy proposes is that they need to make sure that Nick is not the one that has the power after the competition. So he's like, okay, well, you don't have to admit that you have the power, but what if we do something like, Sis, you and Christy agree to tell each other that one of you has it, and then you don't have to tell the rest of us, but then we at least know that one of you has it, and that Nick does not have it. And of course, Tommy is proposing this because he knows that if Christy knows, then she'll tell him. So, but Jack doesn't like that plan, because Jack is in this conversation and he knows that he has a power and he hasn't told anybody except for Christy. And so Jack is like, well, that's a great plan for somebody that doesn't have a power. What a terrible plan, though, because you wouldn't. If you had a power, it would be totally fine if you didn't tell anyone. We wouldn't blame anyone if they didn't want to tell us about their power. And Tommy, who knows that Jack has the power, but Jack doesn't know that Tommy knows that Jack has the power, says it is like, oh yeah, of course. Look, I don't need to know. It was a bad idea. You don't need to tell me. I don't need to know anything. It doesn't matter if anybody has any power. It's totally fine. I don't even worry about it. And it's this weird dance where Jack really pushed hard, and then Tommy is trying to be like, I'm not pressuring anybody. I'm not doing anything. And then they're going to go on and continue to discuss the rogue vote and things like that. And then 5 minutes later, they're just kind of it's a lull in the conversation. And Jack's just like, what are you guys thinking? You're thinking that I have the power, don't you? And Tommy's like, what? No, I wasn't thinking about that at all. What? Jack realizes that even if, he totally screwed up. Jack is so bad. I thought he was better than that, because he managed to trick the entire live feed community, or I guess not the entire live feed community, but certainly a large amount of them, including myself, when we did not realize that he had the power. And now it's so blatantly obvious that he has it. If I still didn't know that he had the power, this conversation would have made me 100% positive that he had the power. And he recognizes it and he calls it out. But Tommy is still trying to pretend that Jack did not screw up and that he doesn't know about Jack's power. And what a mess. So that's happening there. They also discuss how perfectly things worked out tonight, because they managed to get Kemi out. A rogue vote is going to be pinned on Nicole, hopefully. Nick won the HOH, which seems like it would be bad, but it's actually perfect, because what Kemi did worked perfectly for them. Kemi scared Nick and Bella right back into Grateful's arms. They say that, oh, it's perfect. Nick and Bella, they're too scared to work with other people now because they just got called out by those people. And so now they're running scared back to us, and we can keep them placated for a week while Nick is HOH. He'll take out another one of them. And then guess what? Next week, Nick can't win the HOH. It's perfect. Thank you, Kemi, they say. It's one of those conversations that Nick is going to flash back to when he's outside of the house pre-jury. Like, Jackson is going to talk to Nick. And he is going to, and look, like this is what I was talking about earlier, where like the Kemi call out, it did unfortunately backfire. They are right that like Bella is so focused on Kemi. Nick and Bella are so worried about the fact that they were called out for playing both sides that they are desperate to prove that they weren't. And so they are currently thinking, as we'll talk about just in a second, they are currently thinking that they need to prove their loyalty, prove that they are not going to be playing both sides and that they are not doing any of those things. And so that's why it backfired. And these things tend to backfire. Calling somebody out in an eviction speech, as fun as it often is, I do think that historically it almost never works. It usually does the opposite of what you intended. And this is what I was tweeting out last night, that there are countless winners that were called out or exposed in an eviction speech that go on to obviously win the game. And plenty of recent winners, plenty of older winners. There are obviously exceptions to this rule. For example, Rockstar did not go on to win Big Brother 20. But that was kind of a different situation also. Like, that wasn't a real call out. That was Brett genuinely, like, that was Brett faking information. Like, Brett would call people out in his eviction speeches as a way to cause chaos intentionally, not as a way to genuinely expose people. And so I think that's the tool that can work. If you are lying in your eviction call out, or like intentionally stirring the pot because you have a big plan in place, that's one thing. But in general, I do feel like it tends to create sympathy for the person you called out, especially because you just left as well. And then also, it's very easy to discredit, and it also, of course, in this situation, as we saw, basically Nick and Bella are in a situation where they feel like the enemy is Jack and Jackson, but when their own supposed ally, because here's the thing also, Kemi called them out for campaigning for her to leave, which actually wasn't the case. She was actually wrong about that. She got misinformation because people didn't trust that Nick and Bella were actually campaigning for her to stay, but they were. And so that's part of it too, where they feel like, that Kemi is lying about them. And it's like Watchmen, where the most unifying force that you can have is an outside threat, right? It unifies you. So when Kemi is threatening them and Kemi is outside of Grateful, they want to seek safety. And with Kemi attacking them, the only place they can seek safety is back with Grateful. And I think it's the same concept of what happens with Big Twists as well, but that's far beside the point at this point. Just a small aside there. I've also heard that unfortunately the edit is just not done well with Kemi, and that there are some casuals that are not on Kemi's side, which is not okay. Everybody needs to be on Kemi's side here. They'd better portray that fight right. I'm gonna be real upset with them if they make Kemi look like the bad guy there. That's not gonna be cool. I'm gonna be mad. Just letting you know. All right, so anyway, Jackson and Nick are going to discuss the unfortunate ramifications of I think both the call out and camp comeback, that Nick he's gonna want to play it a little safe here. And Nick says that he's thinking about nominating Cliff and Nicole. Cliff and Nicole. That's what Nick wants to do. I can't think of two worse nominations. I can't think of a single worse nomination. I can't think of anything that is worse than that. That is literally the worst case scenario for us and also for him. The only thing worse for him would be if he nominated Sam and Bella. That's the only thing that would be worse for Nick, in my opinion. That's what he's saying to Jackson here. There's still a full night ahead of us, so maybe his mind will change. Chat. He's saying that he thinks Nicole has the power. He still thinks Nicole has the power, so he wants to try and flush that out as much as possible. Potentially, target Nicole or Cliff. Jackson says that he thinks Nicole was the rogue vote, and so maybe they should be getting her out of the game. Nicole drops by, and they're like, "What do you think about the rogue vote?" And she's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me." Jackson's like, I'm freaking out about this. This vote, it matters a lot, but it's totally irrelevant. But it's so important, but completely not important. Jackson does not do a good job selling this, but he does do a good job in other aspects that we'll maybe talk about. Bella is going to talk with Jess and try to explain the whole Black Widows situation. She says that the only reason that she exposed the Black Widows is because Ovi told Jack about the All Women's Alliance. And so when Jack questioned Bella about it, she thought that he already knew about the Black Widows and therefore was going to get caught lying to him if she didn't say anything about it. And it was all just a big misunderstanding. And nobody should be mad at anyone. And Jess is like, oh, what? I can't believe that happened. That's so crazy. I am totally turned upside down. I'm not fond of conversations with Jess because I don't feel like they ever really go anywhere. But I don't want to dwell on it too much. Nicole is going to talk with Holly, and she is going to make a big play here. And this, in my opinion, this was the best thing I've seen on the feeds all season long thus far. It's a big swing, and I think she connected, and I think she's doing all right here. She's going to make a big play on Holly. She says, look, now remember, she just was like, oh my God, I cannot believe these people are running the game. I need to break them up somehow and stab them in the back. I need to survive this week. How does she survive this week? People are blaming her for the rogue vote. Nick might put her up. She might be targeted. How does she survive? Does she go to Nick? Does she go to Holly? She knows that there's tension between them. She doesn't know which one to go to. She chooses Holly, and I think this is absolutely the right call because Holly is the one that's actually in power. Even though Nick is HOH right now, Holly can keep Nick from targeting Nicole if she wants to, as well as, she does eventually go up and talk to Nick as well. But Holly is the one she opens up to. She says, look, I've really messed up in this game. I've gotten in my own head about being awkward, and I really tried, when I came in, I tried to be social and talk to people and connect with people, and I think I was doing a good job, but I think I've gotten worse at it, and I constantly find myself being afraid to walk into rooms and trying to overcome that, and it's hard to do, and I feel like I've really screwed up, I I might be screwing myself right now. I might be completely tanking my own game. This is probably stupid. I just wanted to, like, I talked to Jackson day one, and I told him that I felt really good about him, and I feel the same way about you, Holly, and I feel like we have a lot of similarities, and we can relate to each other a lot, and I just feel like I would want to work with you guys, and I know I'm probably like blowing up my whole game, just, you know, making this choice, but I needed to say that. And Holly is in the meantime like, oh yes, no, of course we feel the same way, so on and so forth. And she's I don't want to cry. I just feel like I've opened up to some people in the house. And I regret doing that, and now I'm doing it to you, and this is probably a bad idea. I don't know, but I just don't know what to do. And Holly's like, oh my God, and she starts crying. And Holly's, oh my God, Nicole, don't, please, no, it's not you are great. You are great. You know, I made the same mistake. I opened up to Nick early on about, you know, some of my struggles in life and you know, all of this stuff. And she talked about some of the things that she's gone through. And I felt like, you know, he really dug at it. And then, like, he was making fun of me, like, the next day, like, making fun of the stuff. And it really just felt like he was abusing, like, the fact that I opened up to him. And so I completely understand. I feel like I've completely done the same thing, Nicole. And I feel the same way sometimes. I feel like I've also gotten bad at, like, talking with more people and stuff. So, like, please don't, you know, don't feel that way. Like, we're on the same team here. And you know, you don't worry about Nick in that. Like, that is not the, you know, you don't have to worry about that. Nicole's like, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you know, Kemi and Bella were arguing, and like, Kemi wasn't lying at all with what she was saying. And it's just, and Holly's like, yeah, I know. Everyone knows that Kemi was telling the truth and Bella's the liar, but we just can't do anything about it yet. But don't worry. Like, we're going to be okay. We're going to move forward together. And Holly opens up some more about her own life, and Nicole is really just wheeling herself in there. And like I said, there's not a lot of confirmation after this that it's like completely worked, but I do feel like that she connected on this one, that she was able to make a connection here with Holly. I think that it's backed up by Cliff Notes, where the latest thing that Jackson overheard from Cliff was that Nicole doesn't trust Nick and Bella and likes Jackson and Holly, but doesn't know where to go because she doesn't feel like she has anyone. This fits perfectly into that narrative, and I think gives Holly the notion that Nicole is somebody that she can draw in and use instead of somebody like Kat, who she definitely is still with, or at the very least, in addition to Kat, who is a little more difficult to handle, I think, at times. I think she likes Nicole more than she likes Kat. It's just that outside connection is a thing as well. But this was great work by Nicole, especially right after she was like, I screwed up. I'm so stupid. I need to do something about this. She gets Holly on her side. I am convinced that Holly, if given the option, would choose to not want Nicole out of the house if Nicole is able to continue and keep this kind of relationship open and moving forward. So Nicole has Holly figured out, right? Now, even if she goes up on the block, hopefully she's not going to be the target. Hopefully that she has at least one advocate in the group for her. And I do believe that that's what she was going for. So we are also going to get Sis and Christy. They are going to talk about how they would like to see Cliff go home this week. That Cliff would be the target that they would choose. Jess is going to talk with Kat about Bella's explanation about the Black Widows. She's not really sure what to think. Nick is between putting up Cliff and Nicole or Cliff and Jess when he talks to some of the members of Grateful. But when he gets down to Sam and Bella and just talks with those two, he immediately is like, I think it was Jackson. I think Jackson was the rogue vote. He's been super weird. I don't think it was Nicole. I don't think I should put Nicole up. I think they want me to put Nicole up, and so I don't want to put Nicole up. So I think it was Jackson. I think that he is trying to pin it on Nicole, and like Jackson never talks game with me. He came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'm freaking out about this vote." Like, come on, man. Tommy ends up coming in. They tell Tommy their theory about Jackson. Sam, and then Tommy's going to leave. Sam is going to wonder. Now, so all night I've been waiting for Nick to talk to Sam because Sam has a lot of information that can help Nick out. Nick has been talking about putting up Cliff and Nicole, Cliff and Jess, Cliff and Kat, whatever. And what he should be doing is taking a shot at 6-shooters. He doesn't realize 6-shooters exists, but he should be taking a shot at them. Sam spent the entirety of the night before, if you recall, talking with people from 6-shooters who were telling him, Nick is a wild card. We don't want you to get dragged down by him. You should jump ship. Pretty clear from Sam's perspective, in my opinion, that Nick should know that these people are turning against him and maybe he should do something about it. So I've been waiting for Nick and Sam to have this conversation. And Sam does say, hey, we're targeting Cliff. Are we sure we're not just doing their dirty work? Just pointing that out. Nick says, nah, we're not doing anybody's dirty work. This is fine. Like maybe, and Sam says, maybe we should, come after people that are coming after you. And Nick says, nobody's coming after me. I can't put up nobody. Might as well go with Cliff. What else can I do? And Sam's like, okay. Nick says, look, if I win the whack power and I have the ability to hijack my own nominations, I'll do it. I'll put up Jack and Jackson. It'll be great. I don't understand the logic there. Okay, and let me walk you through this. Nick is HOH. He wants to put up Cliff and probably Jess, as we'll discuss. And then he's going to compete in a competition where there are 4 people playing. Christy, Sis, Jess, and himself. He's saying that if he wins this competition, then he will reverse his own decision using the power, essentially wasting the power to change his mind, I guess, in order to, I guess, anonymously put Jack and Jackson up. Only there are only 4 options to choose from. If somebody wins a power and then all of a sudden Jack and Jackson go up on the block, because he doesn't know this, but he should at least guess it, that the other 2 powers are accounted for, which means guaranteed it's one of these 4 people. It can't be Christy, it can't be Sis, and you'd better believe it's not Jess. So they're gonna know it's Nick anyway. So he'll be wasting a power to make a move he just should have made in the first place, and everyone will still know it was him. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's not the dumbest thing. I've heard a lot of dumb things. It's a really dumb thing. It's a really dumb thing. I don't understand Nick's logic. I really don't like his thought process. So that's where Nick stands right now. And he's going to continue to talk to Sam. And Sam, who should be like, no, seriously, they were really pushing that I should jump ship from you and separate myself and not get dragged down because they're coming for you and they want you gone and they don't trust you. But instead, he had a conversation where Nick literally asked Sam, Sam, do you get the sense that the rest of the group would have gone after me if they won this week? Wide open. All right, the sign, everything's pointing toward open field for answering this question truthfully because it makes sense. And Sam, you don't even have to do it yourself. Nick's gonna do it for you. Take the shot. We said it before. Bella told you, and now you're the chosen one. You tried to flip the vote to save Kemi. Here we go. Let's do this. Nick asks, do you get the sense the group would have gone after me if they won this week? Sam says, nah, I don't think so. I think they were mostly just worried that you were going to go after them. I think this is a great opportunity to show that they can trust you by keeping them safe. Thanks, Sam. Great input. The gif of Obi-Wan saying that you were the chosen one has never been more appropriate. I'm done with you, Sam. You know what his logic is, too? He talks to Bella afterward. He's like, you know, grateful is dangerous, but if Flaming Five is real, then we're good. We've got the Flaming Five. You've got the Flaming Five. The alliance that Tommy immediately outed to Jack. The alliance that Tommy said was completely worthless, that he was not loyal to at all. The alliance where 3 of those people are still part of Grateful, and Sam knows this and have not told him about Grateful. Tommy, Christy, and Nick have not told him about Grateful. And they literally used the code phrase during the conversation where they created the Flaming Five. They were like, oh, I'm so grateful for this alliance. And Bella told him about that code phrase. And he still thinks that it's real. Sam! Get back to your truck. Just drive trucks, not alliances. All right. So, Sam agrees. The best plan? Go after Cliff. That's going to help you out. Cliff, the guy who was caught secretly wanting to get to the final 5 with you. That Cliff. Yep. Go after that guy. All right. I apologize. Jackson is going to talk to Ovi. Ovi proposes that they should work together. That himself, Nicole, and Cliff should work with Jackson and Holly. Jackson says, "Yeah, totally. Let's do that." I do feel like this is helping. I think Nicole is making inroads with Holly even more. Ovi is again reinforcing with Jackson the kinds of things that Jackson overheard Cliff talking about. Cliff talked about wanting to work with Jackson and Holly. I think that with Nicole's work, with Ovi's work, with hopefully what Cliff will be able to do, Jackson and Holly might be convinced to keep Cliff around over somebody like Jess. Maybe. But it's tough. It's a tough one. Cliff probably still needs to grab that veto, but it's it's better than where we were before. So, what are you gonna do? There are people in the chat that are like, Ovi is useless. Ovi is trying to like, Ovi's part of the Nicole and Cliff. This is all part of their plan. I don't know if you guys don't see that, or if you're just really hating Ovi, but this is, they're still working to break up the big alliance. They're not trying to just like glom on. That's the whole thing. They discussed all of this. So, I mean, you know, he's not exactly the smoothest operator in the world, but they're working together here. He is an extension of what Nicole wants him to be doing. So, if you're mad at Ovi, you have to be mad at Nicole, and I don't think you are. So, all right. I mean, especially the fact that Nicole literally did the same thing, like just like an hour earlier. All right, so Nick is going to talk to Nicole, and she is going to talk about how she was not the rogue vote. That was not her. Nick says, "I believe you. I believe you. I'm not going to put you on the block, Nicole. I promise. Not initially, and not as a replacement. You're good. If I need a replacement, it'll be Kat, because the plan is Cliff and Jess will go on the block, and Kat will be the replacement if one of them comes down. So, it's better than Cliff and Nicole, you know? If Cliff gets vetoed and Kat goes up, then at least Jackson is losing a loyal number. Because, look, there are some really weird people that are like, oh, yay for Kat. Kat's actually loyal to Jackson. Ovi is not. I don't know why people think it's maybe the opposite. Or at least, look, that's my perspective on things. It very much seems like that to me. We've seen Ovi actively talk about working against the big group, whereas Kat is literally saying to multiple people that she has no game plan and just wants to be loyal to the people she's loyal to, which include Jackson and Holly. So, sorry, I'm reading the chat too much. He says he'll put Kat up if Cliff gets taken off the block, and so that would leave Kat and Jess on the block, which would at least take a number from the the Jackson side of things a little bit, which would help them a little bit, and it would leave Cliff and Nicole in the game to continue to work against the big alliance instead of Kat and Jess, who will just work to further the big alliance. So that would be nice, in my opinion. What would be nicer is if he actually took a shot at Jack or Jackson or anybody. Really, he needs to take a shot at Jackson. Jackson is really just working up a huge amassing of followers at this point, between the fact that, Cliff, Nicole, and Ovi are trying to use Jackson to break up the big alliance, or the fact that Jackson already has Kat and Jess as loyal numbers, and he still has Jack and Sis as people that are still loyal to him, and Holly. Jackson's not exactly the smoothest operator in the world, but he is a good, I almost said he's a good liar. He's good at getting people to think he likes them. He's not a great liar, but he's good at charming people, I guess, is what I'd say. And right now, Jackson is in control of the most amount of numbers. So he's very dangerous, as is, of course, Jack. And the real threats, of course, Christy and Tommy, but they're not quite on anybody's radar yet. But yes, so that's the plan. Cliff and Jess with Kat as a replacement if need be, with Cliff as the target at the moment. Bella is going to talk to Nicole. And Bella is just going to continue. Bella, like I said, way too focused on the Kemi situation. Bella's head is not in the game at all. And maybe if it was, she'd be making slightly better decisions. I do feel like, I just wish that if Kemi hadn't gone off on Bella, then Kemi could be up in the HOH room right now with them, hanging out, whispering in Bella's ear about how a move needs to be made, and at least have some kind of, maybe it wouldn't be enough, but at least have some kind of influence in a positive direction. But it didn't happen, and now it's kind of going in the opposite direction. And Bella is going to be super obnoxious about this. Nick, for all of his quirks, he's being kind of reasonable. Like, hey, look. Let's not be mean to Kemi. Let's not be, let's leave it be. Let's respect her and not drag this out or make it any worse. If she comes and apologizes, then I'll be fine with it. If she doesn't want to apologize, that's also fine. We can just live peacefully in the house together. And Bella's basically just like, no, how dare you be amicable? She's terrible. She's a bad person. She did things to me. You don't even know what she said. I hate that. That's the word. You don't even know. You don't even know the things that they did and said. Then tell me. Why are you scared of telling me? Why does it need to be a hidden boogeyman that you can't say? Why can't you just tell me what it is? You know why you're not telling me what it is? Because you're scared it's not actually as bad as you're making it out to be. That's why. Always be wary of those people. So yeah, Bella's mad that Nick is not like rah-rah with her. And she is also going to be mad a little bit. She's going to have like this conversation with Nicole where she's like, I don't know how you can be friends with that woman there, Kemi, and Nicole's just kind of trying to like be respectful of Kemi but also not piss off Bella, and they're both, it's a weird conversation, and I think they kind of get away with it here. So Bella, again, way too focused on Kemi for the night. Brent is in the chat saying Holly is stomping for Nicole in the group right now, which is there was, Adam asks, stomping? Mud stomping? Brent says stomping equals politicking. Yes. Maybe, did you mean stumping? Stumping. It sounds like the work has pulled off. Like I said, she did connect, and now Holly is fighting for her in the group setting. So good stuff from Nicole. Very pleased with that conversation that she had with Holly there. Tommy is going to go to Jackson, and he is going to let Jackson know, hey, they're on to you. Up in that HOH room, they think that you were the rogue vote and that you're trying to blame it on Nicole. Tommy is saying it basically saying it like that. Like, hey, I know it was you. I'm just trying to give you a heads up. Jackson doesn't take the hint. He's like, what? But it's not me. I don't know why they would think that. It was definitely not it. It's totally Cliff, though. Why would they think it's me when it's Cliff? And Tommy is yet again in a position where he knows more than the person he's talking to realizes that he knows. And so he has to play dumb to them. And he's like, oh, yeah, that Cliff, I guess, maybe did it. But also maybe somebody else in our group. Who knows? And Jackson's just like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's got to be Cliff I'm freaking out about it, but not really. But, it wasn't me. Tommy's, yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely wasn't you. All right. Kemi's going to talk with Jess late in the night. She is going to try and talk a little sense into Jess, but I'm not really sure how much Jess got out of it. Jess was talking about Bella's explanation yet again. Jess does seem for the moment to still be anti-Bella, despite Bella's attempt at an explanation. And Kemi is going to help make sure of that a little bit there. But again, these conversations with Jess can kind of just they're almost even hard to follow sometimes. They just don't seem to go anywhere. David is going to have a conversation with Kat. I mean, they have many conversations, but late in the night. In fact, I think just a mere few hours ago at this point. David and Kat, they've been off and on, flirting a little bit here and there. And I think we got a little confirmation that there's maybe a little bit of something there last night. That they've been flirting. But what happened was, I think in the kitchen, Kat was, joking around with Jackson, kind of flirting a little. She still does that from time to time. She still pokes at Jackson and Holly from time to time. I think she called him daddy or something along those lines. The word daddy was involved in some capacity. I've recently been talking to Brent and Melissa about this. I don't like that term myself. I don't think that it should be said to anybody without their consent. It's just a weird word, unless it's your thing and it's consensual, in which case, have at it. But the word daddy was used, and David, I think, had a similar reaction as the chat does, which was a little bit like, ew, I don't like that. And so David was like, what's up with that? Why are you calling Jackson daddy? Why are you flirting with people here? Like, what's going on? I think he's he kind of is realizing he didn't really fully know the extent of the history between Jackson and Kat, and now he's sort of finding it out. And he's like, oh, so like you and Jackson were a thing, and now like, are you still into him? Like, what's happening there? He's kind of like worried that maybe he's getting played a little bit. And she's like, oh, it's not like that. It's not like that. Because like they'd been flirting, and she had told him like, no, we can't keep doing this because it's bad for game. And he was like, okay, but now I'm seeing you flirt with Jackson. I hear that you hooked up with Jackson. And so it maybe seems like look, if you don't want this, then we don't have to do this. I just want some clarity here. It's an awkward conversation, as it usually is with David and Kat, to be honest. The two of them together, it's like peak awkwardness. And so she's like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's just, I just don't think it looks good to start something with someone who's in Camp Comeback. So like, I hope you understand that. He's like, no, that's totally fine. Like, look, we don't have to have that aspect. We can just, we can play the game together. She's like, play the game together? No, it's not. No, that's not what I mean. And he's like, well, then what do you mean? I really like David. David is absolutely the kind of person that I would get along with really well in real life, because he is just very, very straightforward, and he does not mince words, and he does not play games where he is just like look. Just tell me. Like, and she's like, no, it's not about that. It's not about, I mean, I'm not even playing the game. And he's like, you're not playing the game. Like, he doesn't let people just get away with like these little, like, oh no, it's not clicky. Like, come on, it's clicky. It's like, let's be real with each other. And so Kat is trying really hard to convince him, like, no, you think I'm playing the game. You think I'm just like, doing all this stuff. But, I'm not playing the game. I'm clueless. I have no idea what I'm doing. I swear to you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm literally just trying to play and be nice to people and be loyal to the people I'm working with. That's literally all I'm trying to do. And I think she's mostly telling the truth there. But she is still holding things back. And David's like, what's happening here? And he's like, okay, fine. You don't know what you're doing. You look good while you don't know what you're doing, though. They're back to flirting. They cuddled a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. Another showman's on the rise. This one, probably the best one, at least, because there's at least one cool person in it. Maybe two. We'll see. We'll see where Kat's trajectory takes her. She's been off and on for me. I want to see her away from Jackson again. Maybe this will be good. Maybe David comes back into the game, pulls her away from Jackson, convinces her to go against the main alliance. That'd be good. All right. Any questions in the chat before we wrap this up? But that's about what I had from the day. Lots of stuff going on. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. I guess I'm hoping that Nick wins this power. I mean, I guess I have to. Because the only other option is Jess. Jess isn't going to make a move against a big group with a power. Then Christy or Sis, I definitely don't want them having the power. So I think I have to root for Nick to win this thing. So that he can reverse his own nominations. Ugh. Oh boy. Stacked wants to know, do we just like Nicole because she isn't showmancing? No, I think Nicole's the kind of person that if she got into a showmance, it would be like a fan favorite showmance. Do I think Sam is going afraid of getting caught in the crossfire if Nick makes a big move? I guess so, but just from Sam's, like, Sam doesn't have to be the one to make this move. Sam can have Nick do it for him. It doesn't matter where Sam is on the crossfire because everyone's going to be focused on Nick and Bella. Sam is going to be totally fine, and they're going to be weakened. They're going to be in a weakened state going after Nick, and Sam gets to sit back and collect the bottom feeders and say, hey guys, look at these big dogs fighting. We need to form our own thing. Or, he doesn't even need to do that. He can just let them fight it out and chill. It's a no-brainer, Sam. Brandon wants to know, Nick is afraid to take a shot at Jack because of Camp Comeback, but there's a 75% chance he won't come back. Yeah, but that's still a 25% chance he does. It's like Nick wants to take a shot, but he has a couple of things holding him back. Camp Comeback, the Kemi call out, not feeling like he has enough numbers around him. Like there's a scale where if you get past the tipping point, then he nominates Jack and Jackson. And that 25% from Camp Comeback eases that line, eases the scale back over the line and to before it crosses it, and he's not willing to put Jack and Jackson on the block. And certainly there are lots of people that are like, oh, Taran, you're so optimistic. Nick would never go after them. He's a coward. To which I say, yeah, he's a coward. He's making the cowardly move this week. And I do think it's not the greatest move to not nominate, to not take any kind of shot. But I do think that he has a desire to go after them, and I'm not willing to say that he would not make this move without Camp Comeback. I do think that without Camp Comeback, he would be making this move. He was talking about making the move before Camp Comeback was introduced, and then once it was introduced, even before he was HOH, he said, we can't do it until Camp Comeback ends. And so now that he's HOH, he's just following through with what he said before. I have no reason to not believe that that is probably the case, just based on the timing of when he said certain things. Let's see here. What do I think the power is? I went through this on Twitter. I don't think it's a coup d'etat. I don't think so. I mean, look, they've made some very questionable decisions in the past, but they tend to have twists that aren't just like super similar to each other, right? One after another. The nightmare power allows you to, like, HOH makes nominations, and then you're like, nope, I get to change these nominations. You don't get to choose, but the HOH has to change them. It's like a nominate, whoops, never mind. Those people aren't nominated. And just thematically, that's very similar to two people on the block that I've nominated. Nope, I'm taking those out and putting two new ones in. I just feel like if those two powers actually happened at the same time, like, you know what I mean? And think about it, like, if the nightmare power is still in effect, and this could be really, really dumb, is that an HOH could win, put two people on the block, then nightmare power, those two people are safe, two more people go on the block, and then coup d'etat at the end of the week, take those two people down, put two new people in that the HOH doesn't get to choose, then the HOH doesn't get to play in the next HOH competition. I mean, that would be That would be a lot. And it would be the same thing twice. Kind of. I feel like. So obviously it could be the coup d'etat, but I do feel like I am less on board with that just because of how similar it is. Also, it's one of the older twists, going all the way back to Big Brother 11. When they say classic, I really doubt they mean, pre Big Brother 8. You know what I mean? When they say classic, they probably mean like 3 seasons ago. Just like they meant, that the Battle of the Block was a fan favorite. Diamond Power of Veto makes a little more sense to me, but I also think that is still, it's just kind of like it's messing with HOH nominations. I honestly think it could be a third nominee. I think that could be it. Brent says that he really feels like it's the halting hex, or some kind of like cancel the eviction, reset the week. That does make sense. I think thematically, it does feel like it could be considered a classic power, and all that, but they'd have to give it to somebody this week. And with Camp Comeback, it would kind of screw with the schedule a little bit. And yes, that's been in effect before, but especially with Camp Comeback, they're in the house. It just feels like it would allow people to mess with their plans a little bit too much, possibly. But it's definitely possible. That's one of the more likely ones in my opinion, some sort of cancellation, but I still feel like I still have reservations for that. And I also feel like the Diamond Power veto is possible, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I honestly could see it being something really dumb that is not classic at all, like the Pendant of Protection or the Cloud Power from last season, something along those lines. But I honestly, I feel like third nominee is one of the more likely ones that I'm thinking of. That's definitely something that they've done a lot. There's not really a solid name for it. They had MVP, they had Roadkill, but and that's probably the only reason I think that it might not be that. But look, I think that's about what we have there in terms of options. It's interesting because we can just basically go through all of the powers that they've done in the last 10 years and run through which ones are more likely or less likely, but we'll find out hopefully soon. I think that we'll find out who has the power. I think that if Jess wins it, she'll definitely tell somebody. If Nick wins it, he'll tell Bella or somebody. If Sis wins it, I think she'll tell Jack. If Christy wins it, I think she'll tell Tommy. So I do think we'll find out who has the power and what it is soon after the competition. Stacked wants to know, do I have any thoughts on the next twist next week? Nah, it's, you can speculate about these powers all day long, but ultimately, or these twists all day long, but ultimately you just kind of have to wait and see. All right. I think that's what I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me on this crazy experience today here. I apologize if I got out of hand at times. Sam, I'm sorry. You're not only good at truck, you are also good at other things, I'm sure. All right. Thanks so much. Liana should be back tomorrow, I believe, for Liana Saturdays. If I just scroll down here and try to find the message, yeah, it's not gonna work. I think Liana's back tomorrow. I have a calendar. That would have been a better idea. For the update, 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, I will update on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 21 live feeds. And then Sunday night, we'll be back to recap the Sunday night episode of Big Brother 21. And Monday night, we'll be back with the roundtable. So lots of fun stuff heading your way. Please don't with the daddy. Please, I know I'm asking for it, I guess, but it needs to be consensual. That's what I'm saying. Oh my, what did I do? Thank you guys. Thanks anyone who doesn't say that word to me. And not thanks for anyone that does. And you can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. We did a stock watch stream yesterday. Had a lot of fun. And I'll have some more streams coming your way, of course. And yeah, that's what I have for you. So thank you so much for joining me here. It's always a lot of fun when the chat is my co-host, and I'll see you next time.